Waiting for the eyeball.
Eyeball.
No pressure.
Oh,
There it
zero
goes.
people here.
Let's be crowd.
Hey, shh, everybody be quiet. I'm super nervous.
There we go.
There we go. You guys ready?
You.
Here we go.
Welcome to Creative Makers Podcast with your hosts, Joey with Steel Blade Woodworks, Matt with Wacky Works Workshop, Jen with Jen's Turns, Jamie with JP Woodwork, and Jake with Northside Custom Crafts.
Welcome everybody to episode 30 of Creative Makers Podcast. Joey Steelblade is not here today, but I am Jake from Northside Custom Crafts, and today we have Kendra from Kendra's Got Wood. Awesome name, by the way. And here she is.
Hello.
So, welcome to the show. Thank you for coming on. And just to start off, if you'd like to just give us a little something about yourself and tell us about how you got started making and give us a little bit of a story about your journey so far.
Yeah, so I'm mostly a sign maker, so I got started kind of by doing like the palette thing that I feel like a lot of makers kind of do. Like I went through this journey of disassembling and reassembling pallets and doing that whole thing. And then I kind of moved into the vinyl cutter world, which like prior to that, I was like making my own stencils with like an X-Acto blade. And I was like, well, let's get the machine that can make that for you. And then eventually I got the scroll saw, and that kind of changed things. And like throughout this time, I had stumbled into the like maker woodworker community at the time on Instagram. And that was kind of like I was definitely influenced, like I finally started to see that there was like other people doing this stuff. And I'm like, oh, what are these tools that I've like never even heard of? And made a lot of friends too. Even like it was funny because I actually had like looked back at my Instagram to kind of see some of the dates where some of these milestones were. And I'm like, back before the maker community was really like what it is now. And I still talk to a lot of the same people too, which is cool. But then I kind of did like the epoxy thing, and then eventually kind of went back to the scroll saw thing, and then finally got my laser. So it's just like this evolution, still growing,
You said scroll saw and Jamie got taller, and you said laser and Jen got taller. And so
yeah,
this ought to be pretty good.
all kinds of things.
Well, thanks for joining us, Kendra. I'm Jen from Jen's Turn, and usually Jake has an icebreaker for us, but he got kicked over to the leader role today. So I'm going to give you an icebreaker. And I was watching your stories earlier, and I just want to join you in the goal of saying our goal is to not be cringy tonight.
Yeah.
But I agree with you. I don't like watching myself back either.
Yeah.
Just say like as many times as you can.
Yeah.
That's a neat thing.
Yeah, it was funny because a handful of this is now like the third podcast that I've done sort of recently. So I was like, maybe I wasn't going to listen to them because I was like, are you supposed to listen to yourself? Is that weird? Do you go back and listen to them? And then I was like, I should go listen so I can figure out what I don't want to say tonight. And so that was my whole strategy.
Doing homework.
We all hate how we sound.
Right. Like you get all self-conscious when you listen to yourself.
You just say, I hate that voice. It's me. Oh, well, just keep on rolling.
Deal with it. So I went through your stories and kind of looked at some of your Instagram posts, and you got a Onefinity. I have one as well, but you got the newer version. Tell me about it.
I have no idea how to use it, so you should tell me about it. I haven't had it that long. In my defense, I need to get it working, because I actually reached out to them and they were kind enough to send it to me, and I got it all set up. And then I learned that I can't use the popular programs on my Mac. So I kind of have some decisions to make on if I want to try some of the other programs that you can use on Mac. And then I just got so busy with Halloween is one of my most popular holidays. And then for my signs and stuff. And now I'm just in Christmas mode. So I'm literally staring at it right now, and it's sitting there waiting for me. So that's it's definitely the next thing that I'm absolutely going to tackle the second I have the chance, because I got to get it going.
Which one do you have?
I don't even it's
This
not
is a
the
big
fancy
one.
one. It's the 30. I think it's technically 32 inches.
Okay, so you have the Journeyman. So it's 32 by 48.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you have the Journeyman, and then you have the Elite
by
version,
32.
right?
It's a.
Okay, so
I don't have the Elite version.
Okay.
I don't. I think it's the other, just the basic one, I think.
Hey, I get the basic one. It works pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you for joining us, Kendra. So you don't realise how super excited I am that I've got someone on the show that's got the skills. I haven't thrown it away or even given it away. So that being said, my first question will involve a scroll saw. So you have a laser and a scroll saw. So how do you decide which one to use on a project?
It typically, pretty much, if it's hardwoods, I'm going to cut it on the scroll saw. And if it's something that is thinner, that I can do with thinner material, I usually will use Baltic birch. And if I'm going to paint it, I'll do it on the laser, basically.
Yeah.
But, I'm not going to cut the fancy stuff on there. I'll do that by hand, because I don't want the charring, or usually it's too thick anyway. Yeah. But that's pretty much the determination. I mainly use the hardwoods on the scroll saw.
Mm-hmm.
You just mentioned seasons. So I'm horrible at chasing the seasons with my work. I'm just almost refuse to do it. But do you chase the seasons with the stuff that you make? And if you what's your favorite one? Or is that something you have to do just to keep up for sales? Or is it just something you like to do?
Kind of both. Halloween's definitely my favorite. I've always loved Halloween, and I like making the Halloween decor and stuff like that. So yeah, I usually try to get an early start on Halloween. And then I do a lot of Christmas stuff, kind of more in the last couple of years. I kind of I used to do a ton of customs, and I don't really do a lot of custom stuff anymore. And so I try to do collections, basically. So I'll do themed collections and do a drop or a restock and things like that. So yeah, I would say that I do kind of chase the seasons. I have to get an early start on those things, otherwise it won't get done in time. So
the only time I do season stuff is when the crowd twists my arm into doing it. And I tricked him this year because we just didn't do it. We didn't bring it up. I didn't do any. So I win.
Christmas isn't over yet, Jake.
I'm not doing it.
You got plenty of time.
I ain't doing it.
Oh my goodness. I totally lost my train of thought.
It's okay. It's okay.
Okay, well, I'm going to ask a different question then. First, it was a follow-up to what you were talking about, so hopefully it'll come back to me. But I just want to say congratulations on your book.
Oh, thank you.
It. And there's a ton of information in there. How long was that process?
That was a full year, pretty much. I think I had to really get started right from January, and it kind of wrapped in September, but then it was back again in beginning of March that I had to go back and kind of make any changes before it went to publication. So definitely a full year of work for sure.
Full year. And did the publishing company reach out to you and ask you to do one, or did you approach someone with an idea?
Yeah, they reached out to me. I would have actually probably never had the idea to do something like that ever. So yeah, somebody had reached out to me and had the idea. So I kind of like jumped at the opportunity.
So it kind of like that would have been my question too, is like how I would have not known anything about the process or so they kind of
Yeah.
had that figured out and you put the content in there, or is that how does that whole thing go?
Yeah, pretty much. Like when she first approached me, she was like wanting to do like a whole. I felt like super overwhelmed when she originally approached me, and then eventually she kind of like broke it down into segments and things like that, which made it a lot easier. But she was like, I want to incorporate like everything that you do. And I'm like, isn't this like 3 books worth of stuff? I'm like, you want to do scroll saw, laser, epoxy? Like, I'm like, I was like feeling really overwhelmed. Like, how are you going to cram this all into one book, you know? And then she kind of put it into like, she made me this like chart, basically, this little calendar, which I was like, okay, I can kind of see how this is all going to start to flow together. But it definitely, I never would have been able to do that on my own. I would have needed that, like somebody to put it in order for me, because that's clearly not how my brain works. It would have just been, and it still was very stressful and it was a lot of work. And I did not like the person that I became through some of the processes. I will be completely honest about that. It was hard. And it was funny because it was the weekend of Workbench conference that I was getting emails from this publisher or this editor guy. And he's like, you need to proofread everything and get this back to me within a week. And this was like the Thursday. So like the Thursday I get to Georgia, see this email. I'm like, are you kidding me? And I like don't go places. I never travel or anything. I'm like, of all the times to do this to me, you have to do it on the one time that I leave my own state for the first time. And I don't even know, like 3 or 4 years or something like that. So it was like, oh, this figures, you know? So I was like all stressed out, but
it's funny how when you want something, nobody knows how to answer their phone.
Yeah.
But when somebody else wants something, you better answer right now and you better have it right away.
Yeah. I was
I
like,
tend to just go,
I literally was like, I'm not home. Like, I'm not going to be home for 4 days.
I can't read when I'm not at home.
Yeah. There was a lot of changes that kind of needed to be made to it. But I mean, I literally had to go through like every single page of this book. I'm like, so I'm going to have, I was like on my way, on the flight home, I was like making edits the whole way there, and I was like, oh well, I guess I know what I'm doing for the rest of the week, you know.
Wow.
Ultimately, after all like the years of hard work, how did it actually feel seeing like the final product come off the press?
You know, you would have thought that I would have been like more excited about it, but it was kind of just like, finally, you know,
excited.
Well, and then I had to ship them all too. So, and then I made bookmarks because that was kind of like my incentive. Like, if you buy it from me, I'll include a bookmark. So, like, I still felt like I was just like hustle, you know.
Like, there was a nice bookmark.
Sitting there a pile of them and finally
the bookmarks actually did come out super cute.
Yeah, I like them.
Yeah. Jen's like, I got your book.
I do. I have it right there.
Well, I appreciate it. Thanks. And thanks for buying it from me.
Yeah. It is good. There really is a lot of information in there, everyone.
Yeah, I mean, I it's basically like everything that I kind of learned in the last like 8 years or whatever, all crammed into this little book, you know, give or take. But
yeah. I'm gonna jump in front of Matt here and ask a question from the chat. It says, Kimberly would like to know if you are incorporating resin into your wooden signs.
I do. I used to do a ton of resin. Like, I went through a huge phase of doing it all the time. And then now I don't do it quite as often, but here and there, every once in a while. Actually, that's one of the things that I kind of want to do with the CNC is learn how to do some like deeper engraves that I can incorporate resin with more. I like resin. It's just messy and it's hard to make the room for it. You got to kind of get into that zone for a little while, and you know,
it's definitely a different mindset.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's harder now that it's like winter. I have really no desire to bust it out because it's cold and it makes things harder.
Get more working time.
Yeah.
A lot more.
Yeah, I used to actually prefer, like I like how it like cooperates sometimes better when it's warmer. But that was like back when I would do the oceans and stuff because you'd get like the better waves if it's. I like the faster working time for stuff like that, but it depends on the project.
There's some other questions, but I'll let Matt go and then I'll sneak another one in there.
So Workbench Con, you flew down here to Atlanta and our great airport that we have here.
Yeah.
And got to go to Workbench Con. How was that experience? Is it an experience that you would do again? Is it something you would recommend? I mean, I've lived here and I've never gone, so just curious.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was fun. It was cool because I got to meet so many of my friends, which I feel like that's what everybody says. Like, you kind of go to meet your friends, and then there's like the other stuff too. But I went with Bearwoods. I work for them. I work on their Instagram page. And so I went with them. So I didn't go to really hardly any of the classes or things like that. So I didn't, I kind of hung out with at their booth for the majority of it. But it was a lot of fun. Again, like I loved meeting my friends. It's funny because you kind of think it might be weird, but it's not weird at all. Like you feel like you just like have known these people the same. It's no different than knowing them in person kind of. So it was cool to just hang out with everybody really.
Nice. Okay, sneak one in from the chat and then we'll let Jamie go. Martin would like to know, with everything you do, like the scroll saw and resin, which is your favorite?
It's funny. I actually kind of like to paint the most. Like hand painting is kind of my favorite. So, like the laser or the skull saw or whatever, that's just kind of part of my process. I would probably do a lot more hand painting if I had like a customer base for that. But like I like pairing it with the woodworking too, though. So if I get like once I get to the hand painting process of a project, that's usually when I'm like the happiest, basically.
Nice.
Mm-hmm. All right. So what people might not know about you is you run a farm alongside with your woodworking. Do the animals or the farm ever play an influence on any of your projects?
Yeah, sometimes. I actually did a whole collection dedicated to them a few years back, and every once in a while I'll do fun things to go that kind of incorporate that sort of thing, or I'll do like digital designs and do apparel for that kind of thing. So they definitely do.
Yeah, I seen that you named your goat Jake, and that's normally what people name their dogs.
Yeah. Jake was actually one of our first two goats. He's an original.
He sounds awesome.
Yeah. He is.
He's not related, folks.
No, we are not of relation.
He's a character, yeah. No relation. He's an interesting guy, though. He's funny.
There you go.
He's a fainting goat, too.
Oh, no way.
Awesome. I have not got myself into getting those yet. I got Nigerian
I'm so
pygmies.
excited.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
We have one that's a Nigerian pygmy, but we have a couple Nigerians. But yeah, the fainting goats like learn how to control it as they age. So I mean, I haven't seen him faint in years.
Those are the best videos ever online. If I ever need to feel good about something, I just look up fainting goats and I'm a happy boy.
Sometimes it feels like back when they were little, like there's been like times where they've like face planted it in the snow, or like they'll roll over a couple of times, and I'm like it scares you, but I mean they shake it off within like seconds. It's really fast.
Barbara says she loves her bookmark and the book is fabulous.
Oh, well, thank you so much. I appreciate that.
And Anita Ball says, were you creative even as a child?
Yeah, I always pretty much loved art for as long as I can remember. I always like to draw and stuff like that, and always look forward to art class back in the day. I was never really
Schools
like.
could have art.
I mean, I was like even all throughout high school and stuff like that, when my friends were like, oh yeah, I'm going to go to school and I'm going to be a nurse and I'm going to be this and that. And I was like, I have no idea what I'm going to do with my life. Like, I'm pretty much only good at art. And they're like telling you, you know, you're like, well, you're not going to get a career in that, you know?
Starving
What's
artist.
up now? I got a book.
Yeah.
Show
Yeah,
it,
there you go.
sucker.
Yeah.
Nice.
Who is it? I
Jake?
lost track.
Jake.
Hey,
It's on Jake.
is it me?
Hey,
Yep.
Yeah.
hey,
Nice. I just wanted to know, is using a laser cheating?
Well, you already know how I feel about that, but you know, my whole defense is like everything I make, I draw myself. I only ever pretty much use my own original designs. And then again, I said I like to hand paint, but I like to do like the shaping with the rotary tool and everything. So when people say that I'm cheating, I'm like, you know what? You can say what you want, but that was like the smallest part of the project. And there's so many things that I make now with the laser that I would never bother to make with if I had to cut it myself, because I get these like ideas in my head and I just have to execute them. But if I had to like cut some of the smaller things out myself, I'd be like, I'm just like not gonna bother because I don't have time.
So just so you can prepare. I've had a CNC for quite a few years, and it's like you're a CNC woodworker, not a woodworker. You're a CNC woodworker, and I'm like,
Yeah,
I
see
make the
all that
design.
stuff,
I made the
too.
design. I did all the stuff. I had to glue the wood
They're
together.
like, oh, you're just
when
pressing a button. It's just
Yeah.
computer programming and like.
Yeah, and it's just people that
I
are
see
mad
all
they
of
don't
that
have a
stuff.
CNC.
Oh, exactly.
They're just compensating for not having a CNC by talking.
It's
trash to
definitely
me.
like
Yeah.
the old like men in like the scroll saw groups. They get so mad 'cause I'm in so many Facebook groups, and those are like the worst place for that. Just the other day, somebody posted
there
in
they
one of
are.
Bearwood sponsors a lot of those scroll saw groups, so I'm in so many of them, and they get so bitter all of the time. I'm like, oh, there's another like old man who's like all mad that he doesn't have a CNC or they like to do the scroll saw stuff because they don't have anything else to do. They're all retired. And, you know, that's like their hobby time. They go out there with their magnifying glass on and their helmet.
Watch your mouth, young
We got
lady.
2 of those on the top.
and then when they're done, they go in and they go on Facebook and they're like, you know, keyboard warriors, I swear.
I can honestly say
While their
I
wife
saw you cheating.
yells at them for something.
I saw you cheating only because I didn't think of it to do it. Is you painted where you laser engraved like the smile and stuff like that, and you painted it and then came back through and wiped it off.
Mhm.
Me, I would have been trying to get right inside the line and try to get. And I saw it and I went, oh,
Yeah.
it would have been so much easier.
Yeah.
Yep.
So when you
put it
start
on there,
seeing
wipe it off.
so when you start seeing it'll be along the same lines, like you put ore mask stuff, that blue stuff over it, and
Mhm.
carve it, and you paint in there, and then it makes it easier to
Mhm.
you peel off that stuff, and you don't have to wipe it off and
Yeah.
stuff, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hate the masking. It like gives me PTSD from the stencil days. So
It's probably
I'm
not
like-
as bad. It's
same
probably
with
not
like
as bad on here.
well, it's funny. I have this YouTube tutorial about like filling a laser engrave with resin, and I'm like super sloppy. Maybe I'm just a messy person, but I always just like I fill it all in and then I just sand it back off, and everybody's like, I've had a few comments that are like, you could mask. I'm like, how are you going to peel that off with hardened epoxy? It's going to peel off. I'm like, I don't even want to peel it off when there's not epoxy over it.
So you know who's doing that is the people that comment like that are the people that haven't done it.
Ever.
Right, exactly.
Most of the time, yeah, so.
I literally finally said to somebody, I was like, you know what? You go ahead and try that and then come back here and you tell me how that goes. Because like, good luck. But I hate picking that stuff out if it doesn't just immediately come off. I'd rather just sand.
Yeah,
That's
and
what I'm
especially
talking
when
about.
it's a detailed design too, and the little
Mhm.
tiny
With
pieces,
little
in
tiny
there,
holes,
it's
yeah.
ridiculous. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
craziness.
Mm.
There is another question from the chat. Miss Barbara would like to know more about the creating of I believe she means the advent calendar. It's so detailed.
The adventure calendar.
It was an adventure creating it, huh?
Well, I'm glad that you want to know more about it because I feel like I've been spamming that all over my social media. But yeah, I mean, I spent a lot of time on the design process with that. And then I don't know. I mean, like, what specifically do you want to know? I guess like each little piece was kind of started out how I do most of my scroll saw templates. Like it usually starts as a sketch. Some of those were already my scroll saw or laser templates. And I kind of made some edits and stuff to those. But yeah, I wanted to do something that kind of was like similar to, I remember we had when I was little, this advent calendar, and it was like fabric and you'd like pull them out of their little slot. I feel like maybe you like hung them on like a tree. I can't remember, but I wanted to do something unique like that. So it was one of those ideas that I like got in my head and I just like had to do it. And then like a week into the designing, I'm like, this is taking me way longer than I thought it was going to for sure.
Yeah. We had one of those growing up, and it was like every day there's a piece of candy in there. My little brother got the candy every day, and I've never been bitter about it.
The fact that you're bringing it up, I can tell.
Yeah, I forgot about it years ago. Years ago, I forgot about that. Thanks for bringing that up.
Like needs to go to family therapy over.
My son's 25 and he still asks me for one of those candy advent calendars every year. He lives in Hawaii. And
Well, I've got a template for you.
He couldn't find one. He's like, Mom, this island, they don't even have advent calendars here. Could you bring one with you? I'm like, it's going to be Christmas by the time I'm there. It'll be done. I don't care. Okay.
Send them the candy that you would have put in it.
Yeah, well, it's
Just
funny
the
when
wrappers. Send them the wrappers.
When I was doing the research, I'm like, I guess I didn't realize how many of them are supposed to have like a little present inside. And like, I was like, well, the present is my art.
You're
They're
welcome.
like, Mom, all I got was some art in here. There's some no candy.
Each one of those took me like an hour, so.
You are welcome. I like I said before, I have Nigerian pygmy goats, and it gets
That's so hilarious.
It doesn't get super cold down here. It gets 17 every once in a while here in Georgia, but we still have a problem with water freezing up in our thing. How do you deal with that being up there in Michigan?
Well, if the hose is frozen, I usually start by like having a meltdown and get mad. No, but like if the hose is frozen, I am immediately mad because I know if it's like going to be cold, I'll usually try to drain it and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But if that happens, I have to haul buckets, and so I'm mad. So that's basically how I deal with it.
So you like use the auto,
mad.
like the auto trough or anything like that? Do you not heat anything like that, or you just
no?
Still bucket.
We do have heated buckets, yeah. We do have a big heated bucket for the goats, but it's all gross, and I have to change the water. And the ducks, we have ducks too, and the ducks just make a total mess of all.
Yeah, that was going to be my
water source.
Yeah,
it's the ducks that really are the problem. If I didn't have the ducks, winter would be a lot easier. That's for sure.
So which animal has the worst attitude?
Ooh, probably the goats. The ducks pretty much are always happy. The goats they get mad, especially if I'm like 5 minutes late to feeding. They're mad. They're yelling. They will let you know.
Dang it, Jake.
Dang it, Jake.
Even today, when I was out there and I'm doing the water and stuff, and usually when they're yelling for me, once I'm out there, they'll stop yelling. They're like, okay, she's gonna feed us in a second. And our one Molly, she's just yelling, and I'm like, what is your problem? Like, stop. And she's just standing there yelling for no reason.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just how they are. They're just, somebody's always mad about something.
I got a female that does it all the time. She's like 15 inches tall, and she's little bitty and just nonstop.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you got food. Shut up.
Right. Well, in this goat, it's funny. So I have a separate farm account. I've actually kind of majorly slacked on it lately. And there's a couple pictures of Molly actually from when she was a baby that like the goat pages like repost all the time. Like I'll randomly be tagged in something, or I'll just see her somewhere in like a stolen goat picture. But just recently one posted like a picture of her and they were like, rate her from 1 to 10. And everybody was like, oh, she's a 10. She's a 10. I'm like, yeah, she's a 10, but her personality is like a -1. She's
Is that the smiling goat? Is that the one that was smiling?
No,
Oh, okay.
I don't even hardly ever post Molly because she's not nice. She's angry. She was the cutest baby and she's very pretty, but she's just not friendly and she's just a snob. It's pretty funny, but her baby pictures are internet famous apparently because every time I go on there, she's tagged in we're tagged in something else of her.
Our veterinarian did the same thing. They posted, we had a picture up on our Instagram account and they posted as their main picture on their thing.
Oh, that's funny.
We went on there to get their phone number. Isn't that our goat?
Hey, that's ours. That's awesome.
Yeah.
While we're on the subject of animals, I'll put this one up there. Barbara says, did you have a snake in the shop this summer?
Yeah, I think the ducks were like chasing it, and that's how it ended up coming into the garage. It was pretty funny. I don't even know what kind of snake it was either, because I mean, we're in Michigan. We have like we usually have just garter snakes. I don't really ever see anything other than that. And I had been seeing this snake around, and it was funny because the ducks were like after it, and I was like, oh no, and it comes right in. It goes like right under the laser, and it's so funny because those stories got so many views. Like my view count on my stories was like way higher when I had this snake in the garage, and we couldn't find it for a while. It like had gone all the way back up against the wall, and was like behind my plywood and everything. And I was like, I really don't want, I would not consider, I'm not really afraid of snakes, but I also don't want them to just I don't want to be reaching for something.
They don't pay rent.
Appear, I don't really want it to live in the garage, basically. Yeah. But yeah, we eventually got it out that same night. I was like, I really don't want it to be in here tomorrow when I come back out here.
Anita in the chat has it right. She said a snake that's afraid of ducks.
They will try to pretty much eat anything that moves. They probably won't be able to get very far, but they would try.
Like, this is the biggest worm we've ever seen.
When I had chicken,
or if I see them with a frog, I'll chase it and save the frog because I love frogs. But they will chase each other with the frog hanging out of their mouth, and they've tried to eat mice and stuff before. If it moves, they're gonna go after it for sure.
Killer ducks.
I've never met a French duck.
You never met what?
Never met a French duck. Because they eat frogs.
Sometimes you don't get what Jamie's jokes are because he's foreign.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, so you mentioned that you draw you mentioned that you draw all your own designs. Have you got a background in graphic design or anything like that?
No, I did go to an art school online for a few years, and I took a couple of digital type classes, which I didn't end up sticking with it, but I did learn a couple of things. So I had some basic Photoshop knowledge, and then invested in the iPad and just started playing around with Procreate, and started out just making scroll saw templates, and then people wanted to buy the scroll saw template, so I was selling those, and then people who had lasers wanted to use them on laser, but you can't just use a Procreate drawing in the laser programs. They don't. You have to. So that was actually kind of a big reason why I finally got the laser, because I was making a lot of the templates and stuff. I'm like, well, I need to learn how this laser software works. And so it was kind of the beginning of the laser journey almost.
Yeah, there you go.
So we all sell stuff, except for Jamie. He just sits there and tells jokes we can't understand.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we all sell stuff, and we all struggle with how we price our stuff. Do you have like a formula you use, or is it just how you feel, or what would make you happy for selling it, or how do you come up with your prices for your work?
$1 million.
$1 million.
Yeah, both.
Yeah.
You know, my friend Jess, she's the living timber. She has a, so here, I'll just plug my friend. She sells a pricing template, which is really nice because you can, it really kind of put things in perspective to like see things that you probably maybe wouldn't have even thought of considering to charge for, you know, and it breaks it. She's got it set up so you can put in like your, product or the, you know, your expenses, all of the different things that, you know, you're down to like the clear code. I know people who will pay, I'm trying to figure out how to word this, but like, if you're going to charge for a can of paint, or some people will charge for like, you know, part of the paint. I don't really get that in depth. I will typically use her template and kind of, you know, estimate approximately what my materials were. And then, you know, I know about what I want to make hourly, so I'll plug that in. And I'm really bad at paying attention to how long I spend on things, and I will typically underestimate how long things will take too. So I usually try to overestimate. But I mean, I still struggle with the pricing and stuff. And especially now, I feel like the cost of materials has just gone up so much. And so it just all depends, really. And it's harder too, because, you know, I can price out a cut. Like if somebody wants a custom quote, for me, quoting a custom is easier than quoting something that I made because I wanted to, and then selling it. So I'm like, well, I wanted to make this, so I'm willing to, you know, sell it for less than something that I'm like, I don't really want to make that. So, you know, but I will for the right price. So it just really depends on the project. Or if I can sell the template too, a lot of times that makes it more worth it. You know, I'll sometimes make the sign because I want to sell the template, and that can kind of make me sell something for more than what I probably would have priced it out as a custom order and that sort of thing. But I mean, just like everybody else, I struggle.
About to say, so we're not the only ones that struggle.
I think everybody kind of does, you know, and I don't know. I feel like you never kind of really get over that, or you know what you want and you're scared that nobody's going to want to pay for that.
There's usually a line for me. There's usually a line where I go, let's say $25. I won't make it for that. 26? Yeah, I could do that. Somehow there's a line that you're willing to do it for, and it might not take much, but there's something that's about like it's about how you feel about it more than what the numbers really are.
You know, I think everything goes into it.
Yeah. Barbara would like to know, do you copyright your designs?
Why are you asking? I mean, I never have gone through the legal process of doing that. I've thought about it, but you know, it'll probably take somebody stealing something from me and me really getting mad before I finally actually do it. But no, I don't. I haven't.
It's kind of hard when you're selling the templates too, because then people buy them so that they can do their own stuff with them too.
Yeah, like I would never copyright one of those, but you know, sometimes I'll do like my own digital designs for apparel, or I'll, you know, use it as a temporary logo, and I would probably get mad if I saw somebody else using that, but I don't know.
I get people that ask me if I
copyright anything.
I get people ask me if I copyrighted my stuff, and I'm like, it's kind of hard to when I have YouTube videos showing them exactly how to do it.
Right.
I
would never copyright something that I would like sell the template or make a tutorial on or anything like that. But
yeah. So that was the chat. So my question is on your painting. I'm glad that's your favorite part, because honestly, that's my favorite part of your work too. I love watching your painting and seeing how it turns out, what is your best tip for the blending to where you get the shadows and the highlights just right? Is that just practice, or is there a specific technique that you use?
I mean, I would definitely say practice for sure. I think that like I mix a lot of my own colors, but I find that other people kind of have an easier time if they like the closer colors that you have, it's going to be easier to get them to blend. So like either mix your colors on the side or like buy the exact colors that you need and get them as close together as you can. Because I think that like one of the things that people kind of have the tendency to do is like try to kind of blend too much of like a contrasting two colors on their actual piece, if that makes sense. So like if people want to add like dark shadows, they're kind of taking like a white and a black and trying to make gray on the piece. And like instead you need to kind of like mix those on the side and then blend them in. I'm not sure if that makes sense, but
No,
I
it
mean, I
does.
see that with spray paint too. A lot of people are doing a really good job these days, like using spray paint instead of hand painting to get like a nice blending on their pieces. But if you use two colors that are too far apart, that's when it starts to get like speckly and stuff like that. So like the closer your colors are to each other, the smoother your blending process is going to be. So, you know, if you can get your colors kind of prepped along the side, it'll kind of make the blending process smoother.
Gotcha.
So let's talk about your laser. What kind of laser do you have, and what software are you using to run that laser?
My laser is nothing exciting. It is the HL1060. It's a 100-watt laser. It is just like a generic Chinese laser. It's not one of the cool, fun brands that everybody else is using. But I'm using Lightburn.
It's an evil laser beam.
It's fine. It's just, you know, it's nothing I'm going to try to promote or anything.
Was that
it's
your
fine.
first laser? Was it your first
Mhm.
laser? So that's been, you went straight 100-watt first thing.
Yeah, well, I had a friend who kind of like basically essentially held my hand. I don't know if you guys are familiar with him. He's Kyle, KS Woodworks, but I was kind of like using him to outsource some things. So I had drawn some things and he engraved them and sent them to me. He's like, you need to just get a laser. I'm like, I'm too dumb to learn how to use it. Like, I'm too scared, you know? I'm like, I'm not going to spend all this money on the machine that I'm not going to be able to figure it out, you know? And he's like, it's seriously not that hard. Like, if I can do it, you can do it, and that sort of thing. And he's like, just go for it. And so he kind of talked me into the machine that he had.
Mhm.
And I was like, okay, fine. And like it's still an expensive machine, but for a 100-watt laser, it was like half the price of a lot of 100-watt laser, or a fraction of the price of a lot of 100-watt lasers. So I finally did it, and he literally like walked me through the whole thing. Like it came, and I was like, I think it was like September, and I was like, hopefully I can get it running by like Christmas. You know, he's like, what are you talking about? He's like, get it out of the crate right now. Like, what are you doing? Like, let's go. Like, let's do it. And he literally was like, okay, now, you know, like hook this part up, hook that part up. Okay, now watch this video and do this. And it was like within like a day or two, I had it pretty much going. And
Nice.
I was like busting out
Very nice.
and I had all of these designs already laser ready because I was making them for the people who were buying my files. So I kind of got a little bit ahead on that. Yeah.
There you go. All right. So, surprise, surprise, back to the scroll tool.
There we go.
All right. So, first of all, what scroll tool do you have? And do you have a favorite brand, style, and size of blade to use?
Yeah, so I use the Pegasus scroll saw. It is a nice scroll saw. So I usually use the Pegasus blades too.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that would be my favorite for sure. That's an easy one for me because, well, like I said, I work for Bearwoods and they supply that stuff. So, again, another plug, but yeah, I mean, it's a great saw. It's
Did you get the-
Yeah.
Sorry.
Go on.
Sorry. Did you get the bigger one that Pegasus came out with?
Yeah, I did. And I mean, the two are basically identical. It's a nice saw. It takes up a lot more room, you know. So if you're in the market for a scroll saw and you're considering the big one, I would say if you cut the big things, get the big one. If you don't spend the extra money because, I mean, otherwise they're identical. It's just basically if you need the bigger work area.
So a bigger bed.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
So-
And the blade clamps on them are awesome as well.
Yeah.
By golly. Hey, Jamie really loves scroll saws and scroll saw talking. And
His next show.
yeah, he loves it.
I like saws.
So you mentioned Bearwoods a couple times. What all do they sell, and
They
how
sell
big
like
is their
all
account on
kinds of stuff.
Instagram and stuff like that?
Well, their account's not as big as I would like it to be because I'm the one who's been running it for a long time. But they're doing well. They're doing good. They sell tons of stuff. They sell epoxy, wood carving stuff. They've been doing really well with the wood burning stuff. They've got a bunch of wood burning tools now. Their scroll saw is most popular for them for sure. But the wood burning's coming in a close second. Crazy talented people tagging them too. Like just insane what these people can do. And I've tried the wood burning thing, and I told you I like to paint. I like to do things by hand. That's just not for me. I'm not good at it. But the things that people can do is truly incredible. But yeah, they sell all kinds of stuff.
I do wood burning too, and the project turns out bad.
Yeah, it's hard. It's not
Annie.
easy.
Mad.
Once I got my laser, I think I've like touched the wood burning tool like once since then.
Well, you
I'm
got
a
a laser.
perfectionist, so if it doesn't look perfect, I'm like mad about it.
Yeah, the lasers are the only wood burning I do.
I've gotten over that perfectionist stuff. I just know there's going to be something wrong, and it's not, as long as it's not too bad, it's a winner, dude.
Yeah. And, well, I mean, there comes a point where you have to get over some things because sometimes you just can't pick it because nobody's going to notice the things that you
The trick is
notice,
just
too.
don't point it out. And no one's there. Most of the time, no one will ever see it unless you point it out.
Mhm. I know
I'm
people
the
think
first
I'm
person to
crazy
point it out.
because it's like all I see, but I think that's
Yeah.
just something that as makers, we all have that set in our brains that we're gonna see things that other people won't.
I start showing.
Mhm.
I start to show people like what I think's wrong with it, and then I got to tell myself, "Shut up, shut up."
Yeah. Yeah.
They're like, "Oh, it turned out
Like
great."
self-deprecating.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're our own worst critics.
Uh-huh.
Definitely.
It's your turn, Jake.
Again.
Again.
Jamie,
I will.
Jamie
So
asked scroll saw.
hey, it's all right. So this, obviously we all are on Instagram, and you obviously have a bigger account. So, was there a couple posts that just hit, or has it been consistent over time? And then do you have a posting schedule, and do you stick to it, or is there some days you just say, I ain't doing it?
All of the above. I started my Instagram account in 2015, so I've been on there for a while. It took a long time, it felt like, and I felt like I watched a lot of people blow up right in front of my eyes, and I was still just like inching along. And then
Still
I
there,
did
still
have
there.
yeah, well, I mean, it's hard. And it's hard not to compare yourself to those people too, because you're like, what am I doing what are they doing that I'm doing everything it seems like right. But yeah, I had a couple of reels do well that definitely gave me a boost. But when that happens, a lot of times they drop back off too. So there's like ups and downs. I've been like stuck lately, like big time. Like by stuck, I'm telling you that number has not even. I'm like losing more some days than I'm gaining, and it's just not moved. But it comes and it goes. But Yeah, it took a long time. And I do pretty much post every day. And some days I'm like, I'm just not doing it. I just don't have anything. I'm tired. I don't feel like it. But for the most part, I try to post every day. I usually won't post on like a Saturday. Like I'll usually pick a weekend day to not post and stuff like that. And I'm not super meticulous about what time I'm posting or anything. I just try to do it in the morning, you know?
What'll happen sometimes is I'll go, I'm going to do every day. And we went through spells whenever they were pushing the reels and stuff. I'm going to go every day. You get all these views, no followers. And then I won't post for like 2 or 3 days and I end up getting 10, 20
That's
followers.
funny.
I'm like, what does that do?
Because I've said that too. Like if you like on the days that I don't post anything, I'm like all of a sudden I'm getting followers. So I don't know. It's probably
they're
Instagram's
just-
ploy to get you back on. You know,
They're just
how we
messing
need
with
to-
us.
Come on.
They're just playing with us.
Mhm.
It really feels that way sometimes. Yeah. And I mean, I've learned to like just not try to get mad about it, but sometimes it's hard not to, especially when you see other people like doing really well when you feel like you're in a massive slump. So it's like, what is going on? And that's kind of what I'm going through right now. I feel like I'm going through a slump, but I just keep telling myself, well, I'll turn back around one of these days. But
Just side note, I have a video that's kicked off on YouTube. And I said, man, I got this one. It's going good. And Jamie's like, it's about time you got 500 videos on there.
yeah,
That's one,
that's cool.
one
though.
of them just,
I mean, at least YouTube pays though. So
just
like,
keep plugging away and something's going to hit sometime. You
Right,
might do
well,
one
that's-
right on accident.
that's honestly just it. Like you just have to keep going and not give up, which way easier said than done.
Yeah.
And that sometimes for me, I feel like it's like the stupidest ones that end up doing well too, which is so frustrating because it's like, why does it have to be this one that I don't really like? This isn't gonna pick up the audience that I want, you know.
Mhm.
That definitely happens. Like
Yeah,
I have.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
So I do resin casting, and the one that's kicking off is for dust collection.
Yeah.
It's not helping
Well,
at all. But like you said,
that's
at least,
funny.
hey, at least it can go crazy and buy me a couple sandwiches this month.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I feel like with YouTube, when they kind of generate those views, it's like long term. Whereas like on Instagram, eventually you're just gonna stop. Like it's just gonna stop performing.
Mhm.
It's my turn again for the third time.
My turn, Jake.
I'll
Let's
do
try
it.
to cut the line. You talked earlier about your favorite season is Halloween, and my mom was a huge Halloween fan, so she loved looking at your stuff too. My personal favorite is the Christmas, and I love it when you do the deer. Like my favorite one was the deer with the little poinsettias right at the antlers. It was cute.
Say that again.
So no,
Poinsettias.
Oh, dang it.
poinsettias. So I saw today that you posted that you have posted the templates for the deer, and you've included ornament size.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that you're going to make more of your templates ornament size? Because I will be purchasing that one and making some. No.
Well,
Hey, Jen ain't
You know,
scared.
it's funny
Her
because-
friend.
Yeah.
well, in the past, well, it's funny because I've always done like a Christmas collection of signs, and I mean, my Halloween signs didn't do as well this year as they usually do, and I was like, I'm not gonna waste a bunch of time doing, but because a lot of, I mean, I don't want to like sound like I'm spoiled, but a lot of times I would do like these collections and I would typically like sell out or sell most of them. And I'm like now getting stuck with these signs, you know, people buy them. And I mean, it's my own fault because I'm not doing pre-orders. I'm making these because I want to, you know, and I'll sell the templates and everything. So it's not a total waste. But I was like, you know what? I'm just not going to waste a ton of time doing signs because I don't want to get stuck with them. And so I kind of went with the ornaments, and then I can still make the templates, and I'm still making the cute little designs. And, you know, sure enough, like my little hot cocoa mug took off. So I'm making like 12 of those right now. And the template seems to be doing well too. And then I had found that the laser people were like, well, did you include like the offset backer? I'm like, no, just like make it offset in light burn. It's really easy. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna include, this time, since I'm like kind of promoting these as ornaments, I should include the offset this time. But in the past, I would also make them into signs, so they didn't all have the offset. And I'm like, no, I didn't even think to include the ornament portion, So now that I'm promoting them as ornaments, I'm like, I guess I should include the offset. But I'm like, you could also make them as signs.
Yeah.
So this year I'm doing it backwards. I'm like, okay, so this is going to be the ornament file, but you can also make it into a sign, rather than this is, marketed as a sign, but you could also make it into an ornament. So
Yeah, I mean, basically any SVG file, you're going to size it to however you want. And like you said, if you want to make it an ornament, just put the offset on it.
Yeah. So, and last year, actually, I did most of the offsets. I just drilled a hole and did like eye hooks. So when I was making the offset myself, I wasn't like including the little, thing at the top to make it into an ornament either. So it was like, I literally, when people were asking me that, I was like, it takes like 2 seconds to make like an offset, But this year I actually made like the ornament hole, which makes things way faster than doing the hooks anyway. So I was like, since I'm making it anyway.
It's food safe?
No, but
I hate that. Everything. Is it food safe? Don't put it in your mouth. Don't.
Yeah,
It's not for mouths.
Nope.
I will like go on the warpath with the resin food safe questions. So
It's so dumb. I hate it. So there we go.
yeah, I did that on the epoxy boards. I'm like, so can you cut on that? Like, I don't. I tell my customers, no, don't cut on that.
It's a serving tray.
Yeah, you make something beautiful. Yeah, put knife, stab it.
Go stab
Yeah,
it.
please destroy my beautiful design that I just spent hours on.
I can sell you another one. Yeah. So you went to Workbench Con, you met a bunch of people. Is there anybody that you would like to meet that you haven't met before?
And who did you hate?
Gosh.
Yeah, answer that one.
Who sucked?
Well, on that note,
That was easier.
I got a list.
I mean, I have all kinds of maker friends who I would love to meet in person, just, who I talk to all the time, who I feel like I know, but I have actually never met in person. But, I mean, other than just, like, my friends who I chat with who I've never met, like, nobody, like, influential really comes to mind. I don't know. I was scared that you were going to ask me like who I was inspired by, because I was like trying to think of like specific people, and like I've got lots of people. Like actually somebody does come to mind. My friend Matt, who
there I am. I'm right here, guys.
Really,
she said her friend, dude.
Go, my friend Matt.
Oh,
He's like one of the people who I got who really got me like into the whole community thing, and like I've met like so many people that we both know, but I've never met him, and he was like the first person who I ever met through the maker community. So I'd love to meet him someday, or I don't know, just all my maker friends who I haven't met in person yet, basically, is the answer to that question.
Okay.
There you go. Have you by any chance had a failure in the shop that turned out to be an actual success? Like where you've learned something from it, maybe?
Ooh, gosh, nothing specific comes to mind right now, but I'm sure I'll probably think of it like tonight when I'm
As soon
like
as we
laying
go
in bed,
off.
like, oh, great
Soon as we go
answer
off
to that
air.
would have been.
Dang it.
Yeah. That's a good question, but I feel like I need to think about it. I'm sure I could probably come up with something.
Well, you can put it in the comments after the show.
Yeah, there you go.
So this is about the time where we're all going to say what we got going on, but it's time for you to say your channels, what you have coming up. Just plug yourself a little bit, and then we'll let you go. And we appreciate you coming on with us.
Yeah, I'm Kendra Scott Wood on all of the social channels. Instagram, it's Kendra's_.com or .com. Kendra's _ got one. Kendra's
.com.
.com. Yeah. I hate my business name. Actually, you said something about it, like being like a good name.
I like it.
Well,
I would change it, but
there's a joke. There's always going to be a joke in there, and it's going to be one of those. I'm tired of that joke. I mean, if I was you, probably.
Oh yeah, I probably get it like once a week, but I feel like I would change it, but nothing has ever inspired me enough to actually do it.
Right.
But yeah,
Mhm.
you can find me on all of the social medias.
There you go, Jenny Jen.
Hello, everybody. Kendra, thanks for joining us. We enjoyed chatting with you. And we do have all of your links below in the description so you guys can go and check out her pages. For me this week, tomorrow's Thanksgiving, so happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Be safe. Friday night, I have a nighttime market and then trying to prep for other things. So lots of stuff going on.
Okay, Matthew.
Finishing up the resin table that I just got done casting, sanding on it, up to 400 grit and still
Awesome,
going.
by the way.
Thank you.
Mhm.
And working on a miter saw back portion of upper cabinets for that. And then I'm also got about 10 or 12 cutting boards going on that I'm hoping people putting them up the dishwasher and get all nice and hot and break. And
Make sure they're
crack and I get to make
food
more.
safe.
Yeah,
Make sure
exactly.
food safety. Yeah. There you go.
The dishwasher. I love that question too.
I'm replacing one right now because of that. So,
Jamie Page.
I am just getting back in the shop and making some more videos. Just had someone ask me to donate a few to a kids soccer club. So I'm going to go to refinishing them because they've been in the attic for years. So for collecting dust. So I'm going to get to refinishing them and get them donated and shipped off. So yeah, that's what I'm doing at the moment.
okay.
Isn't that football in your country?
He
It is football. I'm Americanizing it.
Are you changing your language just for us?
he just stopped the fight.
Yeah.
He stopped. He's done with that. So anyway,
Less of us, I'm doing it for you.
Well, you were just talking about Ted Lasso, so I feel like it would have been appropriate.
we're trying to train him. It's been a while. So we got Saturday morning cartoons. It's a show that Jamie lets me do with him every week, and it's going to be a special Thanksgiving show. We're going to give some stuff away, have some announcements. Jamie's probably going to comb his beard and make it look pretty for you guys, and that's about it. And then next week
Gobble, gobble.
on the show, on the podcast, it's just going to be a topic show. We don't know what we're talking about yet, but we're going to figure it out. Once again, thank you, Kendra, for hanging out with us. Hopefully you had a good time. Tell your friends about us. And then that's about it. Same time, same beautiful faces next week. That's what Joey says all the time.
Fine, it's fine.
And
Make
then
sure
thank
10
you.
stars
Thank
on
you.
the 10 stars.
Oh, we accept nothing less than 5 stars if you're listening on the podcast. Or 10. If you can put 12 on there, put 12.
12.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I think that's about it. We'll see you guys next time. And see ya.
Bye.